Hi, I'm Darlene Carman.
And I'm Doug Carman.
And welcome to the show. The Palo Alto Junior Museum and Zoo, dating back to 1934, is the Bay Area's only children's science center and zoo. John Aikin, Executive Director of the Junior Museum and Zoo, is here to tell us about the center's exciting expansion plans. He has brought some of popular residents of the zoo for us to meet. Hey, welcome back to the show, John.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me back, Doug. Good to see you.
Now, this is off the topic, but with your perspective as a conservationist, I'd like to have your thoughts about Cecil the Lion that was killed.
Oh, I think we're all devastated about that story. It underscores conservation challenges in the countries in Africa, but I think it also underscores the challenges to build those economies and give people food to eat and work and what happens in the absence of that and who steps in and pays money and where does it go. And there are a lot of, I think, rocks being overturned. But personally, it's been difficult for all of us that work with animals because we know what it feels like to work and live with animals all of your life, and then to have something tragic happen would be a tragedy.
Oh, yes.
Well, getting back to your zoo and your facility, it's really important to bring the marvels of science to children. What does your organization do for the for the schools in the area as far as providing education and for the young children?
Well, it's our mission to engage a child's curiosity in science and nature, and we do that on site with a zoo and interactive science exhibits. But we have one of the most robust science outreach programs anywhere in the country. Right now, we serve about 14,000 students with hands-on science lessons in the classrooms, K through 5th grade science education, and that's all of the curriculum, every child, every grade, K through 5.
That's every year?
It's every year, and right now we are in about 10 schools. We're expanding to 12 schools. Next year we're in East Palo Alto, schools in Palo Alto, Mountain View. And then many schools bring us on ad hoc here and there for a program, but all of those schools, we're teaching all the children, all the grades.
Wow, so that's really
you have then because you have in-house experts that really the schools couldn't afford to have.
Yeah.
And so this allows them to get a very robust science program into their schools where they wouldn't normally have that opportunity or could afford it, I would imagine, to keep somebody on staff that would be as knowledgeable as the people you have at your facility.
You're so right, and you mentioned knowledge. It's both the knowledge and I think it's the enthusiasm. These teachers come in with joy in their hearts and interesting, fun projects, live animals, scientific equipment, real artifacts, and really get the kids engaged in ways that teachers they struggle to teach science in schools, but we do it really well.
Do you train the teachers, or they come from outside and they're already trained, or do you train them in some way?
We have about 20 teachers on staff right now, and they're all trained, and we've developed lessons over the years, and we have lots of objects, everything from electric cars, catapults to teach physics, chemistry lessons. It really runs all of the gamut, astronomy. And we've worked out lessons over the years in ways to really get kids.
They've developed their own syllabus that you can bring into the schools, so the schools don't have to really worry about it. They can concentrate on other more important.
I brought a video if you'd like
Sure.
to see
We'd
a
love
little
to
bit
see
about
the
our
video.
work in the schools.
Let's watch the video of the kids playing.
These kids face so many obstacles to a successful education. When programs like JMC come and be involved, they make it a priority again. They bring that access and that support that we can't provide through just a regular curriculum even. Nico is amazing. She comes and gives a science lesson about once a month.
I do the work with all the kindergarten classrooms, all the second, all the fourth, and all the fifth grade classrooms. The hands-on science, I think, is great to engage the students, even to see how adorable a hedgehog is and to look at the animals. You don't need language so much, so I think it's a really engaging, rewarding activity to do with these kids.
And so even though we're in the middle of all of these very rich companies and neighborhoods around us, we are yet isolated. It's still a fight to get the resources that we need.
In order to take a trip at that school, they do need to fundraise for a bus. Another thing they don't have is a lot of resources to pay for it. So that means it can't happen. Even a distance this short, they can't come here. So that's a bummer.
They bring the science to us. They bring the animals and the science experiences that they wouldn't get right to our classroom. The children get to interact, and it's based on our kindergarten standards. They get the academic language that they need. It's so great that they provide the opportunity to our children.
Everything we know about children and the way they learn says give them a rich environment, let them have as much opportunity to explore, put the phenomena first, put their chance to interact with animals, with plants, with ramps, with recording equipment, put that first, and their questions, the questions that will allow them to systematize their knowledge and to become the kind of learners that we all expect them to become, that will be promoted, encouraged, and taken to a much higher and better level than without the chance to experience these things. Kids learn best by having experiences that promote questions, and then they're ready to hear the answers to or learn the answers to those questions.
Because of how difficult it is to teach science and how difficult it is to have the right resources to teach science, I think especially a lot of teachers, they struggle a lot with having to keep up with the curriculum, not having the resources they need, on top of all the other things that they have to teach, on top of the testing that they have to teach the kids for. All of that can be really daunting, and we have the resources. We're able to really focus on the curriculum and follow standards and the needs of the kids, and really create dynamic, interesting lessons.
They're vital to communities like this to help them gain that knowledge. I think the more kids that they can reach with their science program and their hands-on experiments, and I think the better.
What science really is a very rich and rewarding and interactive, engaging experience. So the JMZ's outreach could very well be the kind of lifesaver that those children need when it comes to maintaining a strong relationship to academic institutions.
That's very exciting. Looks like a lot of fun. The JMZ will be expanding shortly. So how did the design come about?
Well, first of all, it's the mothership of all of these education programs, and the teachers are out of space. We don't have enough classroom space. We are borrowing space all over Palo Alto to run our summer camp programs. Our animals are in old facilities that really need to be rebuilt so that we can give them more room, and we can accredit the institution with the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And the museum has about 3,000 objects in its collections, and those collections are cramped and stored, and we just need more space. There are only 3 toilets in the building, and we have 150,000 visitors and about 25 staff right now, and so we need space.
Wow.
Will the ratio of the science department and the zoo activities be about equal to what it is now, or will it,
It's a good question. It's about the same because everybody's needs have increased with the audience. And so the zoo is expanding about 50% and the building is expanding about 50%.
Well, I think we have some pictures of some renderings in that of what's in store for the community. Let's see those.
That is a footprint of the existing Junior Museum and Zoo. So the museum is in the darker color towards the bottom of the screen, and the zoo is lighter area covered in trees up there by the park. And now if we go to the next picture, you'll see right on top of that an overlay of what the new Junior Museum and Zoo looks like. It has a new parking lot that solves a lot of the circulation and safety issues that we have with our current parking lot, expands the zoo well, actually, let me talk about the 2 buildings. The Junior Museum becomes 2 stories, and there becomes a building out in the park to help take care of the animals properly and give us the area to stage summer camps and things. And then the next picture, focuses on the zoo portion, which is between those two building masses. So the next picture.
The next picture.
Well, come on. Shortly, there we go, is the zoo. And this is a concept drawing that shows how all of the exhibits are laid out in a really amazing way. You know, for this age of child, kids love to lead the experience and explore. And so here, kids will be able to go underground and underwater to find animals and up into the trees to find animals. They'll actually be looking for animals where they would expect to find them in nature. The next picture shows a cross-section through that double-decker portion of the zoo with kids underground in a crawl-through geode and under a water tank with alligator in it, up in the trees looking for birds. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And then the next two pictures are renderings that kind of should give the look and feeling of the building itself in this one. And then the next picture is kind of flying over the zoo and looking down at the zoo. And the zoo, by the way, is netted over both to keep predators out, the animals in, but allows us to have many of the animals loose so that kids can look for them.
Will the facility be open during the construction at all?
No, we're going to have to close for 2 years, but we're going to remain operational in another site in Palo Alto for those 2 years.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. And of course, that'll all be on the website and everything
bet.
later.
Will you have to house any of the animals at another facility while this is going on?
Well, we're going to have to take care of all of our education programs, all of our collections, and including our live animals. And so the off-site facility is going to have to take care of all of that.
Can you give us a sneak preview of future
Your wish
residents
list.
that's on your wish list?
I would love to share with you some of the ideas of some of the animals we'd love to have.
Go through the pictures. And
Yeah.
See.
I know one's an elephant shrew. I'm really
Well,
excited about
I've
it.
already
There
5
it
years
is.
now, and we've come up with some amazing animals. This education collection is really all about teaching kids about adaptation. This is an elephant shrew from Africa, and these guys actually live with one of our current residents in the wild. Our fruit bats are native to Africa, and these guys live on the forest floor and eat fruit from underneath the bats, but they're adorable,
cute.
aren't they?
And next?
Next are fairy penguins. And this is a real wish list. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get this. These are recently been imported from Australia. They are the smallest penguin in the world. And zoos, penguins are one of the top rated animals that people want to see. And this is the
Say what we
tiniest
have
penguin.
next. Yeah, we know.
So next is a prehensile-tailed porcupine. Great animals to talk about adaptation because both they have a grasping tail and a prickly body.
From
And
where?
From South America.
Okay.
And the next?
I'm sorry, we're just
Yes,
running
we're going
short.
through this. Is a dwarf mongoose. These are very much like meerkats, but smaller. They live in social colonies. They're active all day long, and they're raising their babies and keep the kids interested in life.
Oh, look at them.
So one of the most exciting things, I think, is the Walk-Through Butterfly Pavilion, a USDA accredited facility where we'll have tropical butterflies and
Oh,
plants
that'd be beautiful.
to immerse kids in.
And there's our
we
spider
can also
again.
rotate, here comes our spider, we can rotate butterflies out and bring in spiders and do a
spiders,
walk-through spider exhibit. There's a lot we can do with that tropical environment.
Really exciting. Well, you know, we have some residents right here from the zoo that we'd like to take a look at. Now, the guy here is our mystery guest, and he's very just hanging out, right?
That's right.
And we'll talk about him later. But
Well,
first,
then,
yeah, well,
let
let's
me
see who we
introduce
have.
Rob
Yeah.
Steele. He's he's our zoo
Let's see
director.
the current
That's
animals
his
now.
cue to start grabbing an animal. He'll be over here in a second. But we've brought some animals that we use to teach children in the classrooms. And Rob, this is a European ferret, if I'm not mistaken.
Very good, yes. And this is Rascal. And Rascal is roughly about 5 years old. And he is what's called a European ferret. They are related to minks, weasels, otters, things like that. So they're in the same family. And they are very flexible, as you can see. They're still used in Europe for hunting rabbits. And so they actually can bend this way. They can actually...
They can get down a rabbit hole.
They can
quick.
get down a rabbit hole. And the ability is they have to have the ability to get down to a rabbit hole, grab it, and then come out. And what they do is they still hunt with these in Europe. They'll tie a rope around them, put the ferret down a rabbit hole, the ferret grabs a hold of the rabbit, and they pull them both out.
wow.
But again, the ferret goes down, and if he doesn't see anything, he has the ability to turn around and come back out with minimal space. And they have been used in electric conduits a lot, the ones that are maybe a half mile long. they'll put the ferret through one side, and by the time it gets to the other side, it's dusted, it's cleaned, all the conduits out and stuff like that.
Oh, it's cleaned it all.
Yeah, so basically a little mini duster is what these things are, a live duster.
We have another one.
So we've got another one. While we bring the other animal in, I'll just let you know that these are the types of animals that we take out to the schools so that kids that can't even get to the zoo have a chance to be able to see animals.
And you were telling me that you like animals that move around a lot, and the kids
That
like
are
that, not
active
you,
during the
but the
day, because
kids.
it's about a children's zoo experience. And Miguel has brought
Hi,
a,
Miguel.
a western screech owl. This is an owl that's native to North America. This owl is only 2 years old and was unfortunately hit by a car. Many of our animals, most of them I would say, are rescued animals, either from the wild or former pets.
Right.
And this owl is blind in its right eye
Really?
and has glaucoma. It's got we have to medicate the eye all the time. But a really great example of a small local predator that we can teach kids about adaptations for hunting.
Now,
and-
what is she interested in? She's interested in, I mean, she's not looking at me really. It looks like she is, but she really.
I think she's got all of us in her one good eye. So she's turned her head enough that she can see me
focusing on
and
you.
Doug and you in the middle and kind of keep her eye on all of it. I don't want to disturb her too much, but if she turns her head this way, you can see owls have a reputation for being able to spin their heads around, which is actually not remarkable at all in birds. All birds have the ability to do that. It's just that owls have this big ruff of feathers that hides their neck. And so they look like they have a very short neck, where actually she has a very long neck.
Really?
It's just snaking along in
I
there.
didn't know that.
Yes. So I think we've got another owl. Thank you, Miguel. Excuse me, another animal, not another owl. That is one that I think is particularly popular with young kids because they read about these in storybooks, and then when they see them, they realize that they're even cuter than they ever thought.
This is a baby,
an African
right?
hedgehog,
It's
a
not a-
four-toed hedgehog.
No, it's not full grown. It's a baby,
This
right?
this is full grown.
This is full grown.
This is full grown.
It's a dwarf variety?
This is what's called a African four-toed hedgehog. They are different. Most people are used to the European hedgehogs, which are about twice as big as this.
Yeah.
These are small, and she is roughly about 3 years old. And when they do get nervous, well, she doesn't get nervous anymore. They can roll up, and they have the ability to roll up into a ball, and then put their spines up like this. And you can see that she is just incredible animals. And like
Just
John
more
was
curious.
saying, the adaptation is just unbelievable with these guys. They do live in areas where there are, in savanna regions where there's lions and hyenas, and they are able to protect themselves against these.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
They have an
Because that
incredible
looks like
sense of
it's
smell.
a nice meal for her, huh?
Oh, yes,
Hyena,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, when they get nervous, these spines, which are just modified hairs, do stick straight up,
Okay.
like this. And when she is so comfortable, she lays them down.
I know you'd like to have
So-
some water.
Yeah. Not
Actually, we
nervous,
probably have some mealworms that she.
Well, that's one of the things, bringing them to school and to schools and that, they get pretty used to being handled
Oh,
with
exactly,
the
exactly. We usually have two, and we always have one that's very friendly that doesn't roll up into a ball, and the other one is always very shy, so we can show what they look like when they roll up into a ball and hide themselves, and when they unfurl like this. And so it's kind of nice to have those two. And
So what's popular
those are
with the children?
mealworms?
these are mealworms. Let's see if she's hungry, though.
The kids
Oh,
love
oh,
hedgehogs in
look at
particular because they're not only a really interesting animal in terms of adaptations, but also really adorable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so these are particularly popular. I would say another really popular zoo animal is Edward, our giant tortoise.
Scarfing up on those
yeah.
Little
mealworms,
rats
huh?
are
But
But
extremely
you
popular
didn't
because
feed
they
her
have
today,
babies.
is that?
Oh, no,
They're
she's
caring for their
Are you
babies.
hearing about Edward? Remember that when we went to the zoo and we filmed Edward the zoo?
Yeah.
The one that walked around the whole thing? So he's very popular with the kids
He
too?
is
Very,
one of our
very-
most popular
that's-
animals.
oh, yeah.
I think the raccoons are also popular. Everybody has a story about raccoons, and so you hear families out there talking about, do you remember when we saw raccoons?
So Edward would be the oldest resident there, right?
No, you'd think so, because he's very big and very heavy, but
No,
I
he's
think,
actually one of the youngest we've got.
yeah,
No,
he is.
are you kidding me?
He is.
Edward is he 15?
Yeah, 15 now.
I think 15 right now. And our boa is the oldest resident, and our boa is 32. 32 years old.
32?
Yes.
Is that a red-tailed boa?
Yeah, it's the red-tailed boa,
Excellent.
Cleo, that we've got.
So, oh, goodness.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were that, they
live-
stayed alive that long. Right?
Yeah, they can live around 40 to 45 years. And yeah, and that's usually in captivity. Usually you have that usually in the wild and such.
Oh, jeez. Well, between the ferret and the hedgehog, you're saying the hedgehog is more popular with the kids. Is it?
Yeah,
it's
the
not
ferrets
as
are pretty
active.
popular too.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
it's a toss-up. Our mystery guest is related to these guys, though, but I bet you wouldn't. Most people wouldn't guess that.
really?
Yeah.
Are you curious
You-
to see? Okay,
you ready
well,
to be able to see our
I'm
mystery
ready to
guest?
see. Now, maybe you have to move this one for
I'll go
the.
ahead and move
Well,
this one.
actually,
Yeah,
this
okay.
is not going out. It doesn't
Yeah,
really
we'll
matter.
just okay.
Doesn't
So
matter,
it may
huh?
take me a little bit. I'm going to unveil our mystery guests now.
Are you ready?
Make sure I'm not snagged there. There we go.
Oh, hello.
All right. So I'm
Maybe
gonna-
we can put them on the table so we can get the camera here.
All right. I'll bring this down here. So do you guys know what I have? Do you recognize
Well,
the relative of the other
Of
insectivore
course,
there?
it's a fruit bat, right?
These are bats, and so they're
I
another
see your
mammal,
grapes.
and they are.
Right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this over here so that
Oh.
they come over to the camera. How's
Oh.
that? Unless you want to feed.
Well, I've got a pal right here. You got it. Here, okay, you like that one right there?
So these
Okay.
are straw-colored
Whoa.
fruit bats. They're native to Africa, and they are dependent on rainforests where they live, mostly in West and Central Africa. And they fly huge distances every night to find fruit in the forests, and they find that fruit with their noses. They have an incredible sense of smell. In fact, you probably saw how these bats started looking for food as soon as I opened this up. It's because they could smell this fruit through the bag.
Well, when we came to your place, that's what I noticed was the smell of
You
the
had
fruit. I
a-
enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, but you have a huge display of bats, and
Oh, I
it's,
loved it.
and the kids can go right now. It's like an underground cave.
It's like
and
an
they go-
underground
and then they see the bats, and they're pretty active. When
Yeah,
Very
and
active.
there's the mural of a rainforest behind
yeah, it
the
looks
cave.
very realistic.
In the new facility, we'll be building a home for these guys up in the treetops, where they'll be up in live trees, in a humid environment and active in the daytime, because these bats actually roost on the tops of trees in the wild. And so it'll be fun to be able to see them in that context.
Now, these are full size, right?
These are full-grown bats.
And how many do you have?
Right now we have 10 bats. We've got 4 of this species and then another smaller species. And they're all male because we're not allowed to have any breeding of bats. That takes another special permit.
Now, do they coexist okay? They don't have, they're not competitive or anything?
They do, and we acquire these bats from other zoos that breed them. In fact, it's interesting to think of these populations of animals on a regional level, so that this type of bat, there are 4 institutions on the West Coast that have them, and we all trade and we breed them and manage those populations for the long haul. In fact, many species of animals in zoos now, there's some that exist, there are more of them in zoos than there are even in the wild.
Oh, he just loves that pineapple. So you got, what are you, cantaloupe
Well,
there?
it's cantaloupe
Oh,
and
geez.
grapes.
Oh,
There we go.
Boy, I love to feed these guys. Oh, this is the exhibit that I liked, I would say, the best, because I had never seen bats. Usually there's something bats are in there? Oh, okay, and you never see anything. And for some reason, your bats.
Well, when you see these bats, you look at these faces, they're like little chihuahuas. You realize that there's a whole world about bats you didn't even know until you start looking at them up
The
close.
thing-
Something you mentioned when I talked to you earlier before the show is that you're required, if you hand bats or have to handle bats, you have to have rabies shots. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've been vaccinated for rabies, and all of the staff that works with the bats have to be vaccinated with rabies.
You know, this has been so much fun, and I just hate to have you go, and I cannot wait for 2 years. So I would have to ask you, can you come back? I love these guys. Can you come back
Of
for
course.
another show? I would
I'd
love
love
to
to.
see some more. It's really fun to have them here on the show. And it's fun to go to your place too, and of course that'll be at a later time, and way down the line we'll have to visit your new place. But we're out of time, but like to get some of these that in the future that you want to get, you have to go through a big paperwork and a big deal to get them, right?
We have to design the new facilities, and then we have to get our names on lists with the institutions that are breeding them, and so yes, it's a long process.
Well, it's just been a lot of fun to have you here. Thank you for being here, and thank you guys for showing up. And thanks for watching the
Thank you
show
for having
again,
us.
and please watch again. They bite? If I stick my finger in there, they'll bite?
They'll say, oh, there's something sweet.
We'll stick fruit in there instead.
Yeah.